guess I don't need that in the picture.
I think we're good to go.
Unless it's stronger. We're ready. I want to call to order the regular council meeting for Tuesday, September 7th, 2021. Teresa, will you call the roll?
Mayor Chip Datcher,
Here.
Cheryl Robertson,
Here.
Doug Lehner,
Here.
Marvin Block,
Here.
Ben Lee,
Here.
Sharon Hendren,
Here.
Carol Van Diest.
I want to call on Sharon Hendren to lead us in the invocation.
Dear God, thank you for this beautiful sunshiny day. We're so grateful that we live in this wonderful country and are free. I want to thank all of our wonderful policemen that are here tonight. It's good to see all of you. Be with our military and their families as so much sorrow is going on right now with their families. We look to you and to you only to help us make wise decisions that will move our country in the right direction. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everybody. First up is we're going to have a swearing in of a police officer. Deidre, if you want to come up here. This is Deidre Fife, and we're going to swear her in. And this is one of the best parts about this job is I get to swear in police officers. And if you'll join, I will join you out there. And I think my mic will reach. Stand up here. Okay. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution.
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution
of the United States of America
of the United States of America
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of the state of Ohio
of the state of Ohio
and the laws and ordinances
and the laws and ordinances
of the village of Johnstown,
of the village of Johnstown,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of police officer
the duties of the office of police officers
for the village of Johnstown,
for the village of Johnstown,
to which I have been appointed
to which I have been appointed
according to law and to the best of my ability.
according to law and the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Steve. And we're gonna take some pictures, and we're also gonna have your badge pinned on. Please join me in welcoming Officer Fife. And to our other police officers who came to witness this, thank you very, very much for all you do for us every day. We appreciate it. It's been summer. That barrier at. Working on it. Okay. Thank you all very much. Next up is action on minutes for August 17th, 2021. Are there any additions and or corrections?
Move to approve as written.
Second.
moved and seconded. Teresa, you want to call the roll?
Yes, Doug Lanner,
Yes.
Marvin Block,
Yes.
Ben Lee,
Yes.
Carol Robertson,
Yes.
Mayor Dutcher,
Yes.
Carol Van Diest.
Okay. Next up are citizen comments on matters not on the agenda. We're gonna try to limit people's comments to 3 minutes. If you've, and we'd like, if, for those who are here about any possible things at Leafy Dell, I'd ask that you limit your comments to anything new, because I remember everything you've said at every meeting, so I'm fully vested in having heard you. So anybody has something? Now's the time.
Mary Queen Cool from Leafy Dell, but a new issue. Just wanted to get clarification on something. We asked this at zoning and they didn't have an answer for us. So we wanted to know who approves curb cuts,
The village manager.
village manager. And
Mr.
has,
Leonard.
okay, and has a curb cut been authorized on Leafy Dell Drive for this piece of property?
I have not, no.
You're the only one that can do it, correct?
I have a designee, Jim Blair has done it for most of the single-family units that we have out there.
Okay.
But I'm taking this one and plus some other ones on Track Street that we talked about. And
Okay,
because I think they need more scrutiny than just a typical single-family dwelling permit.
okay. And I'll limit it to that since you
Okay.
requested not hearing something more than once. Since all those other issues are still out there.
They're all out there, and we know that. Anybody else? Okay. We will move on. Next up are council committee reports. Planning and zoning met on the 24th. And Ben, you want to lead us through that?
Yeah, in terms of agenda items, we were going through the zoning ordinance update, talking about off-street parking. And that is what we did. The next section that we have coming up, I believe, is signs. We'll be talking about signs at the next meeting.
Okay, questions for Ben? Hearing none, we will move on. Safety and service met tonight. Ben, you're
Yep.
on again.
So safety and service met this evening. We can certainly have a discussion in council if desired, but with respect to, and forgive me, I'm not sure if everybody is up to speed on the signal removal at 62 in Oregon.
You want
Do
me
you-
to summarize it?
Do you mind? And then I can kind of give a recap from committee.
So as you recall, Woolpert Engineering did a study between Main Street and Williams on US 62. It was completed. LCAT's paid for it. One of the near-term potential solutions to improve traffic on 62 is to remove the signal there at Oregon and 62 now that the school is no longer there today. We know it could be there potentially in the future, as well as the fire department. The great thing about this is the village has complete and utter control of that process, and our decision to remove it, it does have a process to go through if we so desire to make that decision to remove it, or at least to initiate the process, which requires it going on flash for 90 days, at least 90 days, and then bagging it for 90 days at least. And during that time, we can pull the plug at any time, or we don't even have to start that process. And I believe out of 3-0 with a concurrence from the mayor, that is the route we are taking, is to leave it as is for this time being.
Yeah, safety and service had some discussion on it based off of what we could see as potential issues with removing that signal with how traffic flows now. There isn't any desire to even initiate the testing phase of that piece. So unless there's any other comments or objection from council, I think that's where it's going to go.
Question.
Sure, yeah.
So right now, you can't turn right unless the light's green. If you're coming towards towards 62 and you're stopped at Oregon.
Going south on
South
North,
or north?
south on North Oregon. toward downtown.
National.
Yes, yes.
So once this might go away, then. would I
It's
like
not,
it?
it's not
Not
going.
going away.
What's not going away?
No, Safety and Service is recommending to full council that it just stays as is, and we don't even.
What was proposed,
Oh,
what was proposed was a testing phase to judge whether or not we wanted to remove it. Safety and Service voted 3-0 not to even initiate the testing phase because the byproduct that we talked about wouldn't even be worth the testing phase.
okay, well, I wasn't at your
Yes.
meeting this night.
Yes.
tonight, But I did read everything. and
Yes.
I thought, okay, that's my question.
Yeah.
I'll scratch it.
So if, that's
Wanna Do a motion to,
Well, let me also throw in that
or do
the,
we-
the time, there was new timing calcs that came out of the study as well that we've initiated for, I think 45 days, 30, don't quote me, but it's been there. We've heard from council, community members that the backup on 37 is much longer. So we think that pendulum swung just a little too far one way, so we're gonna bring it back. The engineers were tasked with getting traffic through 62, so the repercussion is longer backups on 37. So we're gonna bring in our traffic control device people and have them dial that back a little bit because it was too much.
does that answer the question, Carol?
You shouldn't have asked. it.
no,
I
good.
want to make sure that we're clear, but yeah, to your point, Chip, yeah, I'll go ahead just on behalf of Safety and Service Committee so that we're all on the same page. I'll make a motion to not move forward with the signal removal testing at all at 62 in Oregon.
I'll second. Been moved and seconded. Teresa, you want to call the roll?
Sure. Marvin Block,
Yes.
Ben Lee,
Yes.
Carol Robertson,
Yes.
Mayor Dutcher.
Yes.
Okay, you guys switched. Sharon Hendren.
Yes.
Carol Van Dees.
Okay.
Oh, Doug Lehner.
Yes.
Sorry. Looked away.
No.
So that was the big item coming out of that. We also had a discussion about staffing within administration, the police department and the utility departments, just to kind of give us a baseline as we're moving into my favorite season, budget season. We also talked about, it's true. We also talked about holding facility and some upgrades to the police department. We talked about some upgrades to the council area here as potential items to bring forth for CIP projects. And then had a list of construction project updates that I think, Jack, you'll probably touch on most of those as we go through those reports later on, but I think that was it unless I missed anything.
Questions for Ben? If not, we'll move on. Finance Committee met on the 17th of August. It was reviewed at our last council meeting. The next meeting is on the 21st at 5 o'clock. Economic Development met on August the 5th. It was reviewed last time. The minutes are attached. The next meeting is the 16th at 10 o'clock here. Park and Rec met on August 19th. Draft minutes are included in your packet. And Carol, you want to tell us any highlights?
I've just been going down there to see the progress of the dog park and the handicap access, the sidewalks in, looks really nice. And I go down there and I'm always talking to people. And I've talked to people from Powell and from Worthington and Columbus. And it's just, that's just amazing.
I think Chief's gotten some phone calls about you. People- Like, this is crazy old lady just randomly talking to people.
She seems to know what she's
Yeah,
talking about.
right.
Anything else, Carol?
No.
Okay. And we're meeting on the 9th, Thursday,
Yes,
10 o'clock here.
yes.
Okay. Personnel Board of Review met on the 16th of August. And there are minutes in your packet. I don't think we need to report unless you feel you need to. Tree Commission met on August 24th. Minutes were attached. Marvin, anything you want to talk about with trees?
We got trees scheduled to be replaced on Shockton Street. I did find out from a grower that they had Some of them had a blight. It wasn't all my fault. Part of it was. And the other trees will be planted after the bike trailhead after the pavement's done. All the trees have been ordered. Great. Still at the growers.
Any questions for Marvin?
Is that warranty work on the trees on Coshocton or how did?
Buy them or yours.
Okay,
They just told me that to make me feel bad.
fair enough.
Okay, moving on, we're going to go to director's reports. Jack,
Alrighty,
you have 3 of them.
let's start with the street department. A couple of just the highlights. They got 21 tons of asphalt put down this last month. They finished Casson Street between East Jersey and College, and as you know, those roads are in very poor condition, but I went up after they got the work and that tonnage down, and it did make some improvements. Jumping down to miscellaneous, the thermoplast on the crosswalks around the second loop of Leafy Dale, so the kids running the crosswalks to get into the schools, that's second loop out is now totally completed. So that was a big project to get done. Got the ditch dug, as Carol was mentioned, for the dog park defense. The street department also got that up and in place. All of our salt has been delivered for this winter and in the new salt temple. So that's good. And we're ready to go when that takes off. And they did assist in the shut-offs. And they also took their yearly iWorks training. Every time they go through that, they learn how to utilize that even better and to more degrees in the changes. So that training was in. On the second page, I do want you to look at the tracker. I think I like that asphalt usage tracker. That's new. In the blue, it tells you how many tons they put down and how many hours were associated with getting that tonnage down. So I think that's going to be something that we can take a look at and give you a little context of how much they're using and the time it takes to get it down. And then Mike included some pictures of the thermoplast work. He also got a nice picture of the tower. We have some more here that I'll bring up in a little bit, but they're on the second ring. And then just a picture of the ditching that had to go through for the dog park. And trying to move through some quickly, I did on the back page, I marked a couple items. So if we go down to, it'd be the 1, 2, 3rd paragraph. We did get some quotes from BJ's Electric to switch out some of the old fluorescent bulbs back in the police bay and in the plow storage room, and also here in the council chambers to change these all to LED, because you don't have to battle with the ballast and things like that. And that cost was only $4,200. So I went ahead and approved that. The only thing we're waiting on now is just the contractor to work us, into the schedule to come in and get this done. So that was quite a few lights that are going to be taken care of. Now, I did get a question from a couple of council members, what is this quote for the plumbing, heating and cooling upgrades? Well, when we redesigned the offices over there, and they did a wonderful job, the one thing that didn't get done was the balancing of the heating and cooling. When you move the walls, the cold air intakes and the other exhaust where the heat and cooling comes out, those were not moved when we moved the walls. So any of you that have been in the meeting/lunchroom over there, it freezes while Laura Kane's office, the water and billing, just roasts. And I'll tell you what, this winter, it'll be exactly the opposite. One room will be very hot, hers will be very cold. So we called in Guttridge Plumbing, and as you can see, that estimate was unacceptable. I'm not sure how he come up with that number. So we are getting a second group to come in to take a look at that. I'm by far no expert in that, but I think I could figure out how to move cold air intakes to, to balance those rooms, but we're going to get a second number. So disregard that. That's way over the top of what I believe it was going to take. So you can all catch your breath again and we'll move forward. I'm going to jump into the water council report. Again, item number one, we pumped over 19 million gallons for the month. We are continuing item number four. The licensed operators are getting their training in for the year. As you know, they have to have so many continuing education units to stay licensed and certified. And number 9 on this list is Pelton Environmental Products Setup Pilot Study. Well, with the design of the new plant and expansion of the water plant, we created a lot of byproduct, which is wet lime, because that's what we use to soften the water. And then we have the byproduct that we have to haul out. We currently have a farmer that will take the lime for us, but in its state, we're hauling a tremendous amount of water. It's 90% water, and we have to take truckload after truckload after truckload. Plus the equipment, these big floater trucks are very, very expensive. And ours is a 1979 vintage. So it's got a lot of years on it. So along with this new plant upgrade, we've looked around to see if we could get a press to dry this lime, which will take a lot of the water out. We were able to get it to a consistency of 40% dry compared to 3% solids dry. So that's and that makes it haulable in a dump truck instead of a big floater and liquid hauling machine. So our engineers come out and looked at this as part of their preview of how we're going to upgrade the plant. If this type of equipment will work for us, will be necessary, and how we build it into the expansion of the plant. Sliding on to the next page, you have the daily tap results. As you can see, again, very consistent. Good rundown through there. The operation is very good. Our operators are doing a good job down there. Then we have a page of training hours, and then just the graph of 2019 versus 2020 and 2021, the amounts of water that we produce for the month. So you can see we were just about 5 million gallons over last year at this same time for the month of August. Now I will jump into the sewer report. And as always, Rick has his removal rates going through the sewer plant. Again, everything is at 97, 98, 99% removal. The plant is doing a very good job. And the operators down there, again, are getting their training for their continuing education to keep their state certifications. They're doing a wonderful job. He's got a picture on the third page of the relief sewer going in on Jersey. We're getting very close to that being all installed. I would tell you that I would like to think that project installation will be completed by the end of this week. So then the closures on the road can end. I do believe we're going to have another closure tomorrow as work progressed a little slower than what we had hoped. But I think that should take care of it. We'll be able to have the road open full time. The next page, you look at the bulk septic receiving. Our numbers are down a little bit from the previous month, but a lot of that is access to the plant, working on the relief sewer. The roads were closed. Those tanker trucks were having trouble getting in and out. And then another great disappointment to us, if you look down at the bulk water station, which is stationed at the sewer plant, that's why it's with this report. Our sales were way down again, but if you recall, we almost had 3 weeks that the system was down due to a computer controlling chip in the card reader, and they just had no access. So we did miss maybe a little opportunity there, but as you can see, our bulk water sales have been huge throughout the year. So moving through that as quickly as I could, do I have any questions about water, sewer, street that I can answer?
Anybody?
Jack, I'd just like to say your page 42 at the asphalt usage. I think that's a great chart to include because it gives a baseline. We have to go back over certain roads year after year, how much time and effort, and then it really helps with understanding ROI. When you talk about prioritization of roads and things.
That was a great addition that Mike Guttridge added to this. So, you know, we could actually see It's not just the asphalt, it's the amount of time to get that asphalt down, the man hours it takes to do it. So I think that was a wonderful idea. That was his idea. He put that together and added it in there. I think it is very telling and lets you folks know
Yeah.
where they're spending a lot of time.
Great data. But that's good.
See if there's any shade trees on it.
We're getting those shade trees so they don't hang over the road.
Any further questions for Jack?
Now, would you like me to give an update just on overall projects? Or you good?
Yes.
Good, or?
We're-
I would like to hear them.
Okay.
Let's go through them.
As we mentioned in here, we'll start with the water tower. The second ring is going up on the water tower that's been framed, filling it with concrete. So our column is going up on that. That project is moving on schedule and is looking good. So again, we hope to have completion by the end of this year, but based on temperature, we will be able to paint and put the proper coatings on, or will that have to happen next spring? So, kind of depends on the weather and how fast they can get it up there, but they are on schedule at this point. The water plant, well, with their expansion, the engineers from Jacobs will be in the plant on the 9th and 10th, going through the entire plant with a fine tooth comb. As you know, they are starting their phase 1 investigation of how we can upgrade the plant, what processes need to be changed, what equipment needs to be brought up to date, and then how it will tie in with the new facility we're building. So that is really coming off. They're doing an investigation. They will have a kickoff meeting to start preliminary design on the 10th. And I think that's at
1:30.
I think at 1:30 to 3, we have that scheduled. Bouncing to the sewer plant, they are also in phase 1 planning. So they've been going through the plant, same thing. What do we have that's antiquated? What needs updated to tie in with the expansion of that plant? You later tonight, hopefully will accept and award the bid to Law Construction for the paving on North Oregon, Benedict and Buena Vista. That bid came in very good, is in good shape. So we're ready to move forward on that. And if the weather holds out, we will have those roads and that little section of storm sewer replaced on North Oregon in this year. South Oregon is moving a little slower than we would like. Have talked with the contractors. They've run into a few issues with elevations of sanitary sewer laterals and new storm sewers were going in. I think we got those problems solved today so they can continue to move. I know it's not a good thing to have those sidewalks out with school going on, but they are moving. They are within the limits of their contract. We did just have a week of rain that shut everything down, but we are asking them to move along as quickly as they can. And the last project, which I did mention, I think in the report, the relief sewer, which will stop some of the backups there on Valley View and other portions. It's almost in. I mean, I think we're going to be done this week with the actual construction. We can't open it up because we have to wait 30 days before we run the mandrel test to make sure the pipe didn't egg and it was installed properly. But the construction is in and hopefully we'll be ready to open that up in 30 days before the fall rains really begin to take hold.
And I have one question, Edwards Road, what's happening with that?
Well, where we're at on Edwards Road, it's not
Should I
going.
not have asked?
No, I was going to bring it up. So
Okay.
Yeah,
Jack will explain it.
Yeah, I keep trying to forget that. No, the situation is that bid came in approximately $65,000 over bid. And the whole section of the overage was on the township's portion. I've met with Troy. He said the money's not available to upgrade what they want. Cannot split the project because it was put in as a joint project. So unfortunately, I think where we're at is I would like to try to rebid that in February for spring work. As you know, we only had one bidder on the project and that bid came out, was it in August, Jim?
Something like that. Yeah.
And you know, we were actually too far into the season to expect a lot of bidders because most of the asphalt crews were already up and going. So my hope is, and what I'd like council to agree with me on, unless there's another thought, we're gonna bid that again in February to make it the first job in spring, and maybe we can get a lot more competitive bidding on the project. Also, the township is aware at this point that the numbers on their side, because we had two different engineers at work here. We had our engineer on the town side, their engineers on their side. They may have to have more of a cash input, and this will give them time maybe to get that gathered up if the bids come in the same. We're hoping for more competitive bidding, but if not, they know their numbers will have to increase a little bit.
Thanks, Jack.
Okay, all righty. Anything else?
Any further questions? If not, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll move on to Mr. Leonard and the village manager's report.
Oh,
Where to begin?
yeah, where to start? Basically, the last 30 days of my life is addressing our mobility project that includes 3 different facets of the technology, the redevelopment opportunity with our local company, as well as soliciting other companies. Started a kickoff campaign, I guess I'll call it, for lobbying other communities to join us in the $75 million grant opportunity, because us alone isn't going to score well. So we're trying to pull in communities and I don't want to say throw $5 million at them, but kind of throw $5 million at them to come on board with us, because we'll keep 45 to 50, I think I have in my brain, together for us, and then divvy out the other 25 million to the other surrounding communities. So we have a regional application. So I sent a summary out someday. I don't know when. So if there's questions after you read that, it's probably changed threefold since then, but by all means, let me know what you think. And September 14th, if you can make it, or the ED committee on the 9th, whatever, day after, whatever. I'm going to be convening those communities. So if you want to jump, thank you. If you want to jump on a call and just hear about it, more of what we're trying to do, let me know and I'll send you that link. Or just come down to the office and I'll be sitting there. So we can do that too. Always forget we can actually do that. Croton Road water line, had a great meeting. Couple council members were in attendance on August 19th. We meet again on the 16th. Since then, I've submitted a grant application for $2.75 million, which would cover a portion of our water plant expansion, as well as the water tap fees for the Village of Croton residents and the actual connection, about $10,000 per connection. So without that, I don't think the project goes forward. I'm not saying the project still is going to go forward with it, but at least our application is in the hopper. I just checked as Jack was doing his.
Point out that it's county money.
So the rest of the money, 16 million, is all county money. So the village has no money in getting water up to the Village of Croton. So it's a 100% free project in terms of capital cost for the village. So probably 20 million dollars in total, but the county would be paying a bulk of that. Thank you, Chip.
You're welcome.
The village is not spending $16 million.
We're just not spending anything.
The village is not spending anything. Absolutely correct, sir. If in fact we decide to go forward with it, we're still
We have the right to refuse.
correct. Project River, I've seen a glimpse of their building. In my opinion, you'll be awestruck of what they're bringing to the community, hopefully. They plan to close on the property soon after the Planning Commission meeting on the 28th, in which they'll get their certificate of appropriateness. We'll also finalize a CRA 2 weeks from now in front of Village Council. Still got some tweaks to work on that. Licking County Area Transportation Study is convening people to discuss fatalities. I sent that information out. It's crazy, but you would think the fatalities were happening at 3 a.m. with a guy driving off the road and hitting a tree and it's just not that. It's straight roads,
Middle of the
high
day.
speed, middle of the day, dry, go off the side of the road. And actually the Friday evening of that meeting, there was the head-on collision and someone was killed up by 661. So on 62. So it's my ODOT was there and I said, hey, if you want to change how this works, in my opinion, you can't be reactive to problems. You know, we couldn't get safety money out of ODOT for the Sportsman's Road project. Not enough people had been killed there yet, you know, so why are we progressing in that manner? Why can't we be reactive? We know Sportsman's Club's a bad intersection. Instead of having 3 people die, then fix it. How about we just prevent those 3 people from dying? And ODOT's typical, well, that's not how we're set up to work. I'm like, well, maybe you should be set up that way to work,
Change.
but I threw my 2 cents in there. CIC, thankfully you guys were able to meet. I had an issue. I couldn't get there, but they have, the CIC has adopted a resolution, which Dana is handling it to get our tax exempt status. Had a lot of interest in the revitalization district that I hope you will consider approving tonight in the final reading. 2 liquor licenses that were not even discussed prior to the announcement of the revitalization district are, they want it spoken for. I told them technically they couldn't do that, but we still have 5 total. So hopefully 2 of them will be snatched up fairly quickly after that's official. So I'm sure there's things I'm missing, but those are kind of the highlights in the last 30 days.
You've skipped the Joint Recreation District Board. I think that's
Joint Recreation District picked their 5th member, Dale Warnett. So they are up and running. Teresa's providing some in-kind services of kind of guiding them through their public meeting process and motions and all that fun stuff. So as soon as they're up and running, Teresa will back off from that.
questions for Jim.
Yeah.
Marvin.
The Pulte situation, the lift station, red light and the bond.
Working with Pulte, I've gave them the plans, giving them, let's see, what's today, the 7th? 13th. I'm going to be checking in with them now that the plans are done, or for the most part done. They're not officially done, but they're not going to get changed. The lift station, we are received full payment for their fair share, so that's taken care of. And working with Yaz on the bond as well for the signal.
Do they have a construction bond up with us?
No, because no, we should have held the bond when it was platted in the 2008. So no, they don't have for the roadways. Is that what we're talking about? Bond for the roadways?
For the overall construction, don't they usually have a bond to develop?
Perfect world, absolutely. And that bond should have been held by the village in 2008 when it went to get platted. And we didn't hold any bonds. We didn't hold bonds for Concord East, platted, Miranda, Pulte. They just platted them. So the way it should work,
Going forward.
they can build the roads without platting it and put no bond up because we're not at risk. We are at risk with platting taking place with no roadways. And so that's when that bond is, should have been required. Absolutely.
I have a comment. Since Jim, you're investing so much time with the mobility hub, and we need to have somebody on the transit board for Licking County very shortly. I would think it's better to have somebody sitting there already, even though we're not officially a city. I know Ben has expressed interest in being on that board. I think he would do an excellent job. So I would like to make a motion, if no one else has any questions, to put Ben Lee on the transit board from Johnstown so that he can start attending the meetings right away. I think there's a meeting tomorrow, if I'm correct.
Sounds right. They like to publish their agenda at about 11 o'clock the night before.
Yeah, so I think the sooner we, even though it's not official yet, it still be good to have some input from Johnstown on that board. So
Second.
Been moved in second. Teresa, you want to call a roll or discussion, I guess? Anybody?
The only thing I'll say is I think Mayor, it's your official appointment, but if we can
All
just, get-
right, I want my colleagues to
absolutely, and I appreciate that, but
make the,
formally, I'll have to get paperwork from you
I'll
to
sign
get
it.
it there.
Teresa, you want to call the roll?
Yes. Bentley,
Abstain.
You should say yes.
I'll abstain.
It's being modest.
Cheryl Robertson.
Yes.
Mayor Dutcher,
Yes.
Sharon Hendren. Carol Van Diest. Doug Lehner,
Yes.
Marvin Block.
Ben's supposed to tell why he abstained.
I would assume a conflict of
Yes.
interest in appointing my, in voting
course, yeah.
affirmative for myself.
Yes.
You can vote for yourself.
Pays good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
With that being said, think about health district as well.
Right.
The mayor needs to appoint someone once that. I have the contract. To be honest with you, I haven't looked at it in huge detail. It's,
Anybody who would like to be considered, please let me know. And the next meeting, we'll deal with the health district.
and it doesn't have to be a council member either.
Right.
Is
So
this
we-
because we're becoming a city?
Yes, we get to
So
have a
it's
board member.
Transportation, health, and there's a third one.
There is, and
I see. Yeah, think what it is.
oh,
Our own welfare department.
we have to,
We already have E ELC.
the watershed,
Oh,
stormwater.
water and
runoff.
soil,
Oh,
water
that's
and
right.
soil or something like that.
Yeah, we'll just, instead of creating our own standalone program, I would recommend to you guys, we just jump on board.
Go with them.
And they will help satisfy the requirements for education and all that stuff. So next year, we need someone to head up a river roundup team. So keep your head down around. So we'll have to do that as well.
Okay. Any further questions?
I
Ben,
appreciate it.
congratulations.
Thank you for the vote of
Need all the
confidence.
help they can get.
I'll be there for all their meetings go forward. Absolutely.
And
I'll
the cr-
make sure to keep everybody up to date.
I know you're a little laxed on taking notes, but do a little.
Yeah,
better job.
right. Yeah.
Olivia Biggs, the PIO for the health department, currently represents the villages. So we are represented, but we'll actually have a seat with Newark and Heath and Pataskla.
That's good. About time. Okay. Thanks, Jim. Anything else for Jim? Before we turn the page. Okay. Thank you very much for all you do. And we know you've been busy. And
So I told
It's a
Teresa
blur.
this today, not to belabor or make this, in your email, check, it's called My Analytics now that we get. The amount of emails you open and the amount of emails you receive and stuff. Take a look, see what that is. It made my eyes
surprise.
hurt.
We all get that?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Where do you see it?
It's in your, it'll be in your inbox. It's called My
There's
Analytics.
It's a weekly
little-
thing, I think.
There's a little
It's a monthly thing.
symbol
Monthly.
and you click that and it shows it. It's scary.
I never check it. It's just the thing that comes.
I
to-
just did last night and it's mind blowing.
Much time to spend. Okay, next up is tabled legislation. Now, as I understand it, the wage and salary structures is not ready to come forward.
It'll be,
We will leave that one on the table.
it'll be infused with the budget.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
I don't think anybody has a problem with that.
Ben's favorite season.
My
Yeah.
favorite seat. Does that mean it would be an ordinance passed in kind with the budget, or just those dollar amounts would be incorporated into those line items go forward, so we don't need the ordinance?
We need the ordinance.
Oh, because we're expanding the pay range.
We need the
Okay,
ordinance.
I see.
Right.
All right.
So-
I got you. All right.
And then there was the tree
Trash can.
trash, the trash.
I think we're still tabling that, chief.
Good on my end. So I don't know if Bailey has fully vetted it, but I thought she was ready to bring it to the table.
She was ready. I asked her last week before I put the new version on.
And Bailey had a death in the family. She's not here this evening. So if you've confirmed that,
Want to take it off and you can discuss it and see if there's any changes.
You want to do that? I'm open to whatever. It's the desire of my council members to do.
I need to discuss any changes that were made. Yeah, I mean, I'll go ahead and make a motion to take it off the table.
Okay, I'll second it then.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, it's off the table. We can discuss it now. I think the The changes are in red. At least mine are.
Mm.
Maybe yours aren't.
Mine are not.
Mine's not in color.
I guess Teresa didn't do color for,
Oh, I didn't?
anyhow.
It costs
Um,
more.
Or at least
It's
italicized.
italic.
they're italicized.
Yeah,
Go with italics.
Mine- Well, for we slow learners, mine in red. So there've been some changes. You want to take a minute and look through there and see if anything jumps out at you.
So council, there was actually a new section that was added. The 1195.05 was definitions, and that will be in a
Right.
section within itself. And then after that, we'll read 1195.051, which would be the actual ordinance for the garbage, junk, litter, ash, and rubbish.
And the timing numbers were removed as far as when trash could be put out and cans removed, et cetera. That was taken out. It's now the day before and the day after, I think.
Yeah, well, there is a time. It's just,
It's not a specific, like,
Well,
well, it is, no,
it
it is.
is.
It is.
G and H.
11:59, the day following collection, and then 12:01, day prior to pickup.
Basically, it's a full day ahead and
a
full
full
day
day
after.
after. I'm fine with that. It's not like,
Today was a mess trying to get down after the trash had picked up garbage. Trash cans were everywhere. It was the.
Really?
It was what, they were putting them everywhere.
So sidebar, that trash contract's up this year. So if there's issues that we need to address, they are more than willing to address them because I think when did I say in October, we were gonna start that process.
Oh, we usually vet it in October.
We vetted it, right. Well, we can either re-up or vet or solicit, whatever you guys want to do.
is there
Does-
in their contract, is there an extension
There is.
clause? We could
If we
just
don't-
extend it.
We better
Rebid it.
Well,
if we don't talk to them before that extension, it automatically extends.
correct.
Oh, okay.
I asked Teresa a question.
Absolutely.
How many complaints are you getting about the trash anymore, Teresa?
The biggest ones I get, I don't get as many as I used to. I've gotten a few recently about placement of the trash cans. So I have a very good contact there at the trash company. Anytime I get a complaint or somebody sends me a picture, they set the can right in the middle of the driveway. I don't know, if there's a lot of that out there, but I do get some complaints. I've maybe had 4 or 5 in the last few months, but it's not rampant.
You
It's
get a
not
good
bad. And anytime I send the complaint to the representative that I talked to there, he is right on it. They have cameras on their trucks now, so they can see the drivers and what they're doing. And so that's a good teaching tool for them. He said, anytime I give him an address or a complaint that I get, I forward it to him, and he said that it's a good coaching opportunity. They have a lot of turnover right now with their drivers, like everybody else, but they do have the cameras and they're all on video. They can see where they're putting the cans. They can, so we have good they can verify whether it's a valid complaint, yes, with their cameras, and they do seem to meet with their drivers, regularly when
You-
there's an opportunity to see
You give
'em.
me the number when
what's
I
wrong.
had a problem once and I called them and it was fixed within 12 hours.
We have really good communication, I'll say, with the company. I mean,
I
they
don't,
address everything we send complaints about really quickly. So
Sometimes you have to be careful with what you got and what you might get.
I
yeah,
think-
I think that's the big thing is it's not like that address or that street sees a constant problem.
Yeah.
Like you said, they've addressed it and the problem sometimes goes elsewhere because of a new driver, but they do address it, I think.
I
Sorry,
think
Sharon.
today was so bad because of Swappers Day,
Oh, yeah.
all the garage sales.
Mhm.
And I have to say something good about them also. Every time we call them to an event's going on, they bring us trash can, do not charge. They're very good about that.
They donated the dumpster for the 4th of July.
They're very
And they
good.
did
about
for
it.
them.
Very quickly,
Right.
almost like
Yeah.
without question. So they, from a
I'd say
partnership.
today
perspective.
was bad though for them.
But it always is.
It's, yeah.
I personally have heard more complaints about trash providers outside of the village
Right.
than inside the village.
Yes, like waste management in the township.
So
That's not us.
the feedback that I've gotten from inside the village has been very positive. But Chief, if I could with this, because I know you took this away and worked on adding in some additional information. Was this pulled from a municipality, a local municipality, or how did you come up with some of these changes?
No, Mr. Lee, it wasn't. So what I did is I looked at several different municipalities that had something similar to this, probably maybe some 30. And I looked at the language that they used. Some of it I felt was going to be good for Johnstown, and some of it I felt like it wasn't. So there wasn't like a black and white cookie cutter law that I could
Yeah.
pluck from somewhere and put in front of you today. So I really read several of different types of ordinances, and then I put what was together I felt was going to be the best option for Johnstown. So it was, I did look to see what others were doing. But at the end of the day, I also wanted to make sure that we, number one, that they are in compliance, so they shall be in compliance. And then two, that if they're not in compliance, that there's a penalty for it. And in this case, it would be a minor misdemeanor that could be enforced by zoning, but it can also be enforced by police as well. And then if they continue to not do it, there's an enhanced charge where it then becomes a misdemeanor of the 4th degree. So if they don't learn their lesson the first time, then every event thereafter will become a misdemeanor 4th degree offense.
Extreme situations though. I mean.
Yes, and the fact of the matter is, I really feel like the residents of this community are really going to adhere to this. Anyway, I don't foresee us having a lot of problems with it at all. I know that Mr. Blair's is not going to go out and look for trash cans. The police department's not going to go out there and look for trash cans. But I think that, there are people that have neighbors, and sometimes they might see something that they don't like, and then they feel like they're left without any resources. And then they're going to look to us as the municipality to say, hey, what can you do to fix this problem? And then we can go to that person and we can try to enforce it through education. Take a proactive approach and just say, hey, there is something on the books and it is enforceable, and we just want you to be in compliance with what everybody else is doing. A lot of neighborhoods within this community have an HOA and they police themselves. However, there are several areas that are not within a municipality that is not covered by an HOA, and then therefore they don't have the teeth of basically putting a lien upon the residents if they're not in compliance with HOA standards.
I think the biggest question that I have from the original piece that was entertained was item F. They talk about where it's located in the interim 4 days between pickup and everything like that. I think we had talked before about maybe just not so much requiring it to be screened from view, but just to the side of the home or something like that.
Right. So in this, in section F, waste, litter, ash, garbage shall be, and it should be controlled and stored in a litter receptacle which is located and or enclosed in a manner to screen it from the view from an adjacent property. So if you're standing from the curb and you were to be an adjacent property across the street, when you look at that house on the front of it, the trash receptacle in that particular situation cannot be visible from somebody that would be standing on the sidewalk of an adjacent property. So if they were to store it in the backyard, it would be A-okay. If they were to store it on the side of the residence, it would have to be within a screened area.
From that perspective, I don't know if everybody has that ability. That's where I think from a planning and zoning perspective, when we had that conversation, that's the piece that came up, is where do you store it? Because I think originally we had the screening piece included, and then we landed on just pulling it to the side.
So even within my own residence, I have an HOA that basically says that you can't see the garbage cans.
Okay.
I'm in a position where I don't want to keep it in my garage because it frankly makes my garage smell. So at that point, me personally, I'm also in a position where I want to adhere to the best standards, the best practices
Sure.
within the community. So I'm physically having somebody put a concrete pad on the side of my house, and then I'm going to basically fence that little area in and then put my receptacles there, which would make me in compliance with this, but also make me in compliance with my HOA standards.
Yeah, I guess I would have a question about that too, because just walking in Concord Crossing West, a lot of people put them on the side of their house. And I'm not too sure where else they're gonna put it.
And it's all contained in the container, right?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. How are we reading this then?
Store the container.
Well,
Basically, if you're staring at the front of the house,
Huh?
exact front of the house, and you're standing on an adjacent property across the street, the trash can cannot be visible
Mm.
from an adjacent property. So if they keep it on the side of their house and you're standing in front of the house, it would be in violation according to this ordinance as written. Now, they could put it in the backyard, they can put it in the garage.
Yeah,
And I think that really listening to Bailey, this is what she kind of envisioned. She said, you know, I basically, as I'm standing out, I don't want to see it. And I wasn't initially brought in on some of these talks because they occurred outside of this venue being council. So when I kind of looked at it, I was like, well, yeah, it needed to be adjusted a little bit. And then she worked with me to adjust it. So I put what I felt she envisioned it in front of you.
That's fair.
Was the initial complaint, Jim, that they just weren't even taking it back to the house? They were leaving the trash.
Leaving it up beside the street.
Right.
We have some that are there like,
Just to get the trash can all the way back to the house. versus being screened. Whenever you go spring, keep it on the side of the house, you're asking somebody to. That's money.
Well, and enforcing it and that's my concern with the whole screening thing. Because when I lived in Concord West, it was on the side of the house.
Mhm.
Maybe I peed out a lot of people, I don't know. But it wasn't screened.
But the main force of this is they don't want them left at the road, people carrying bags down the road, storing it at the road.
True.
I thought it's trust of-
So just for me, from the planning and zoning piece, from where it came up before, I was coming from a position of safety. Like you're talking about, Sharon, where you got stuff all, if you have your trash cans sitting out for a longer period of time, granted, sounds like you were following them and they're just putting them everywhere, but the longer you leave them, the more chance you have for them to blow out, to roll away and things like that. So that's where I brought that up. So, and from an aesthetic standpoint for that F, I absolutely understand where you're coming from, Chief, and putting that in there. I don't know from that piece, and that's the only part that stuck out to me, if that adheres to the original piece that was brought forth through planning and zoning. So I might ask, just from my perspective, that if this were to be considered tonight for passage, and we can always table it and consider it longer or whatever we want to do with it. But I think from the original intent that F would be to change, to move back, just to not be in the front of the home and to be on the side of the home. That would be my suggestion.
And I can definitely do that. So if you want to put it back on the table, I would just ask that the council give me direction on what they prefer. So if they don't want these litter receptacles on the front of the residence, but if they're okay with it being on the side of the residence, I just need to make sure that I worded it accordingly to council's wishes. Yeah.
Which even if we wanted to, I think we can make an editorial change unless we wanted
Yeah,
to
we
put it back
could.
on the table.
That'd be the easiest.
I got a comment to make here. By a vote of 5-1 vote, July 27th meeting, Planning and Zoning Commission was voted in favor of forwarding this ordinance to council's consideration. According to what the chief says, this is what Bailey put in, not the zoning board.
I
Heard conference with her, what he said.
Mhm.
Is it Bailey's ordinance or zoning?
The way that I took the feedback from before was that some of the wording was added from an enforceability standpoint. the way that I read it from what we originally talked in planning and zoning, that F, I think, was the only piece that didn't adhere to the original intent as it came from planning and zoning. We can always send it back to planning and zoning with these changes to get planning and zoning's feedback and have it come back if we wanted to get them sign off again, if that's a consideration. But from my perspective, that F was the only thing that stood out to me. But you're right, this is a different document than what was given to us before.
You want to send it back to planning and zoning
I would be in favor of doing that.
to have them see the changes? and
It's not gonna hurt anything. I mean,
Let them bless it and send it back to us. And Chief, thank you. And you were the instigation of putting these definitions in here.
Yes,
I
Mayor.
remember.
Yep. So like the revision was
Should have
was
had
finished by.
to begin with, but
yeah, I'd say if we vote tonight to send it back to planning and zoning, technically it's already been introduced. So if planning and zoning reviews it next week and signs off or has any other updates,
send it
it
back.
can come back and then in 2 weeks we can talk about it again with any updates that planning and zoning might have at that point.
So you want to make a motion to send it?
I will make a motion to do all of that.
I'm sorry, would it be a motion to table it and send it back to planning and zoning?
Yeah, because you had,
Okay.
I'll make a motion to
Place it back on the table.
table ordinance 32-2021 and send to planning and zoning for consideration of the editorial changes that have been made.
For a second. I'll second. How's that? Teresa, you want to call the roll?
Cheryl Robertson,
Yes.
Mayor Dutcher,
Yes.
Sharon Hendren,
Yes.
Carol Van Dies,
Yes.
Doug Lehner,
Yes.
Marvin Block,
Yes.
Ben Lee.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Or if you wanted to come back to council in 2 weeks, provided planning and zoning moves it.
Finish it and moves
Yeah.
it to us. That work? Okay. So anyhow, it's tabled. Send it back to planning and zoning and we'll see it again shortly. Okay, next up is ordinance. Now we're moving into the regular public hearings on legislation. It's ordinance 34-2021. Ordinance amending chapter 1183 of the Village of Johnstown Codified Ordinances. And this is the rules on tree preservation. Tonight, it was introduced on August 17th. Tonight, we have a public hearing and a vote. So it's already been introduced, so I'm gonna open a public hearing for comment. And anybody has any public comments, now's the time.
Council.
No, welcome back to council. This is for the public. Hearing nobody, I will close the public hearing. Now, if there are comments from council members, now's the time to make it. So if you have questions or comments, Marvin.
Okay. Some of this on here wasn't changed under, if you got the copy of the addition besides the ordinance, it says comes under landscaping, 118301. And on there it says, it is further the purpose of this section to specifically encourage preservation and replacement of all major trees. And then it goes on to encourage it again. If we're just encouraging these developers, they're not going to do it.
Right.
That's one thing that I had a problem with. Then when you get under definitions, 118302, calipers and things that we discussed there was pretty well within the guidelines of what the tree commission said. But then when you get over here, preservation of natural features, it said all major trees should be marked by an arborist, be removed under his supervision and developer's expense. I think that should be added in there.
Marvin, can you restate where you're looking at that?
I'm looking under 118303, preservation of natural features. And the reason I said that there, if you go on and look at the next section here, it tells you why I said it. I'll bring it out. In section A there, it says, good faith effort shall be made to preserve natural vegetation, street trees and a lot. Good faith effort is not going to get the developers to do it. And if you go down under section 118304, preservation of trees and wooded areas. All trees shall be preserved unless exempt as following. The zoning inspector as designated by the village manager may approve the cutting down, removal, or destruction of a major tree when the tree interferes with the proper development of a lot, provided that lot is subject of application of approvable of zoning certificate, a site plan, development plan, a variance, or conditional use permit. That's the reason I asked for an arborist to be consulted and mark the trees. If you go on down to like section 118305, tree replacement. During the course of development, this was supposed to have been done under zoning, a zoning board. It wasn't done under the tree commission. The sections I'm reading now. I don't know how much you remember of it, Ben. During the course of development of a single lot or a subdivision, except for heavily wooded areas, the developer or owner shall be required to replace major trees removed for section 118304 in accordance with the following schedule, with trees having a trunk diameter of at least 3 foot or 3 inches, measuring 6 inches above the ground level. Major trees having a trunk diameter up to 12 inches are to be replaced on a 2-for-1 basis. That should be under the arborist and tree commission. And then down here, it also says in here that the developer replacement schedule for heavy wooded sites in lieu of this provision in section 118305, the developer or owner of heavily wooded areas shall, during the course of development, be required to retain, replace, or major trees pursuant to section 94505. This is a new section. And they're going to give him up a year after the project's done to replace those trees. He'll be gone. I think the deposit should be made when the trees are coming out, if he's not going to replace them right then. Then you get over to section 118306. Any person seeking a zoning certificate of variance or conditional use permit, subdivision plat, development plat, site plat, should file his application of landscaping plan prepared by registered professional, which by plot plan and description shall, the present location of major trees, which an arborist should be doing that. The planning commission shall consider, this is section B, shall consider a landscape plan as part of the review of any conditional use permit. The zoning inspector shall either approve or disapprove all landscaping plans submitted as a part of the zoning certificate applied within 30 days of their filing. On reviewing the application and receive suggestions or reconsiderations from the zoning inspector, the application may agree to modify his application, including the zoning application. I think that should be done by a certified landscape architect.
So I see that as a correlation to how we do our engineering review. You know, we'll bring on the arborist and then if that's what council wants to do is bring on that arborist. The arborist would then tell us what he thinks the total cost of reviewing is going to be, and then that'll be passed on from a permit approval process. That cost will be passed on to the developer to pay for the services of the arborist.
And landscaping, I think that in the future, that's going to be a big part of the development. And those costs will be passed right on.
Right,
to
yes.
the Developer.
You're saying they could do it through arborist or a
An
landscaper,
arborist for the trees and a landscape architect for the landscape design.
either through the village or at least submitted by those individuals with those credentials on
I
their
think
own.
those people with those credentials should be reviewing the plot plan, the plan.
They should be reviewing it. Okay.
They're
Okay.
gonna review it on our behalf as
I got it.
opposed to the,
Yeah. For
It's
the-
like our engineer reviews the
Yeah.
stormwater plan
right,
on our
I see.
behalf.
so
Yeah, I
that
agree with that.
somebody else with knowledge
to
can
me.
tell us what's right and what's
You get people that have their own,
It would cost.
cost the
Yeah,
development.
That sounds good to me.
everybody's got their specialization. I'm
Well, there's-
no specialist in that. So to have somebody who knows what they're talking
I think
about.
this really needs a lot of retweaking. There's one section in here that talks about letting the developer have up to a year after he's finished the project. He's finished the project, gone. He don't care if he plants any trees or not.
True.
I don't disagree with you, Marvin. I think that's very practical.
So,
Jim, I'm not trying to be hard to get along with.
no,
I'm-
we
I'm just-
agreeing with you.
I know you're agreeing with me, but the thing is, I don't think council relies on staff to do these things. Now, keep seeing these things come through. It's not what this majority of this council wants, I think.
Sure. No, and that's a good way to make sure it is what you want by changing the ordinance to give those.
$50 a month, I don't enjoy sitting home and reading 20 hours. a week.
True. Yeah, you earn your money. Then some.
Is it, should we entertain a motion to table this? For further,
I would ask of
Think
that.
just-
for further work?
Do we want to send this back to tree commission to look through, to your point?
The tree commission was quoted fairly accurate. The bad parts that I was pulling up is what you agreed to in zoning.
The understanding is the same ordinance. We didn't make any changes in planning and zoning.
Well, we didn't make them in the tree commission.
I don't recall any changes that we made in.
Well,
planning
it
and
says right
zoning.
here that you made them.
No, we voted on passing the ordinance out of planning and zoning to council.
You didn't vote for all these red things here?
I think those are the updates to the ordinance that's already on the books. Those aren't
That's
changes,
what I'm talking about. The changes, it's in red.
So.
which would have been,
I
the-
don't- We don't have, I don't have red, so I don't.
I would suggest we table this.
I'm fine with that, but
Some
Not
got
I don't
rid of
recall
Anywhere.
any changes
Figure it
having been
out.
made in planning and zoning to
Yeah.
this document.
your italics. The italics.
Oh,
is-
that's
Yeah,
surprising.
some that's not a printing color.
I'll entertain a motion to table.
I'll second.
Oh, I didn't make it, but I'll make a motion.
Who's second? Sharon?
Sharon. My bud.
Motion table. Okay. Mayor Dutcher,
Yes.
Sharon Hendren, Carol Van Dies, Doug Lehner,
Yes.
Marvin Block,
Yes,
Ken Lee,
Yes,
Cheryl Robertson.
Yes.
So summarizing three things that we'll look at is utilizing the arborist, strengthening, because right now it's kind of like, hey, please, will you do this?
Yeah.
And then involving the landscape architect or some other credential for the landscaping. Those are the three things I took, I guess, from your comments, Marvin. Is that correct?
yeah, and then there was,
Mr. Leonard,
Sir.
the very end, there's a penalty section and it has $1,000 for a minor misdemeanor violation. The maximum under Ohio law is only $150, sir.
We do things different. All right, 1183.99.
So the most we can charge them is $150.
For a minor misdemeanor. So if it's a misdemeanor, the first degree it can be $1,000.
Yes, we have a
It's in
list
here.
of approved trees. If that was built today, we would not allow those silver maples to be planted. Yeah, they're listed as- They are a nuisance tree under in the Ohio tree list. Okay, so it's been tabled. And we'll come back.
you take the vote.
soon. What's that? It's on the table. Okay, we voted the table. Okay, next up is ordinance 37-2021. Ordinance designating a revitalization district within the village of Johnstown in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code 4301. Period 81. It was introduced on August 17th. Tonight we'll have a public hearing and a vote. I'm going to open the public hearing. It's already been introduced. Hearing no comment, I'm going to close the public hearing. Council members, questions, discussion? Hearing none. Teresa, call the roll.
Did we have a motion?
No.
We didn't have a
I-
motion.
I'm
Oh.
gonna make a motion.
Okay.
that We accept.
Okay, make a motion. That's the
Yeah.
part I forgot.
Yeah.
Need a second.
We need a second.
I'll second.
Then
Sharon
moved and
Hendrick.
seconded. Teresa,
Got it.
call the roll.
Who's
There we go.
Sharon? Sharon Hendricks.
I'll get the hang of this.
We all will someday. Carol Van Dies,
Yes.
Doug Lanner,
Yes.
Marvin Block,
Yes.
Ben Lee,
Yes.
Cheryl Robertson,
Yes.
Mayor Dutcher.
Yes. Next up is resolution 2021-34, resolution authorizing the village manager to enter into an agreement with Law General Contracting for the North Oregon Area Roadway and Stormwater Improvements Project. It was introduced. No, we're doing
Right.
all this tonight. It's being introduced tonight. We're then gonna have, it's been introduced when I read that. We're gonna have a public hearing. Then we're gonna have a vote. So next up is the public hearing. I'll open the public hearing for comment. I'll close the public hearing, hearing no public comment. And if somebody would like to make a motion, Carol,
So moved.
is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion. Jack, do you have anything you want to, words of wisdom on this? Okay,
But we need to put it on the record too, that it came in under the estimate, correct?
Yeah.
So if we could add that in just for the
save money.
minutes, Jack. I would appreciate that, Teresa, if we could.
It's also stated in the prime engineering letter too, but yeah, I'll make sure
Right.
it's
Thank you.
noted.
Part of the record. So it's been moved and seconded. Any further questions, discussion? Hearing none. Teresa, we'll call the roll.
Yes. Carol Van Dies,
Yes.
Doug Lanner,
Yes.
Marvin Block,
Yes.
Ben Lee,
Yes.
Cheryl Robertson,
Yes.
Mayor Dutcher,
Yes.
Sharon Hendren.
Yes.
Thank you, Jack.
Okay. Next up is resolution 2021-35. A resolution authorizing and directing the village manager to execute a settlement agreement and release of all claims with Megan Bollinger and William Bollinger. Jim, you have anything you want to add to this other than
Nope. I'd ask you. to
tonight
approve it.
is introduction, public hearing and a vote. It's been introduced. We'll open a public hearing. I'll close the public hearing. I'll entertain a motion to approve this. Carol's moved it. Is there a second? Sharon has seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Teresa, you want to call the roll?
Yes. Doug Lanner,
Yes.
Marvin Block,
Yes.
Ben Lee,
Yes.
Cheryl Robertson,
Yes.
Mayor Dutcher,
Yes.
Sharon Hendren,
Yes.
Carol Van Dies.
Next up is resolution 2021-36. A resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor. This is the budget resolution that comes to us once a year, which we pass and give back, and then they send us our money. I would note that we're receiving an increased amount in our property tax
significant.
this year, which we're happy for. And we still, as you all know, have had some discussions with the commissioners about the Budget Commission and the county auditor and the way they function, and we'd still like to see an improvement in that regard, but for now, this is fine. So tonight, we're gonna. This is,
Oh,
Says
yeah,
it's
you
already
left
passed.
that part out, Teresa.
Says it's already.
Anyhow,
Dana.
it's been introduced. I guess I have to have a public hearing.
You do.
Yes.
Okay,
Wishful
we'll have a
thinking.
public hearing. And so we'll open the public hearing. Hearing no comments from the public, we'll close the public hearing. I'll now entertain a motion to approve this thing.
So moved.
Second,
Ben moves, Cheryl seconds. And any further discussion? Hearing none, Teresa will call the roll.
Marvin Block,
Yes.
Ben Lee,
Yes.
Cheryl Robertson,
yes.
Mayor Dutcher,
Yes.
Sharon Hendren, Carol Van Diest, Doug Lehner.
Yes.
Resolution is agreed to. Next up is resolution 2021-37, a resolution authorizing the village manager to enter into an agreement with the state of Ohio Department of Transportation for the removal and control of snow and ice. And tonight, we're gonna introduce this. We're gonna have a public hearing and a vote. So it's been introduced.
Jack will explain it.
Jack, you want to
Whatever.
explain what this
Yes,
is?
I can. I talked to and said, well, we understand Johnstown's. So he very willingly agreed to take those 10 signs to to us. Within corporation limits.
And then as I understand it, this is a 2-year contract and they plan on breaking it next spring.
They have to give us a 60-day notice, and he told us already. It's hard on this because official notice that we're a city is coming soon.
Okay.
Financial obligations are what?
Well, I have asked John to send us the snow removal patterns. how much snow they lay on now. Said very willing to get that over the next.
Sorry, what I meant was that if there's any financial obligation to the village with respect to this agreement on them to,
Zero.
okay. That was the question. Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry.
So they're,
I
no,
misunderstood the
I
question.
should have clarified.
They're
So
gonna handle it as they did last year. and
Okay.
Previous year.
I think that was the best case scenario that we were hoping for with this whole thing. So
So it's been introduced. Gonna open a public hearing. Hearing no comments from the public, I'm gonna close the public hearing. I now would ask for a motion to approve.
So move.
Marvin is made the motion.
I'll second.
Doug is seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, Teresa, you want to call the roll?
Yes. Cheryl Robertson,
Yes.
Mayor Dutcher,
Yes.
Sharon Hendren,
Yes.
Carol Van Diest, Doug Lehner,
Yes.
Marvin Block,
Yes.
Ben Lee.
yes,
Okay, approved. Resolution 2021-38, a resolution authorizing the village manager to enter into and execute contracts necessary to develop plans for and to complete widening of US 62 for two-way left turn lane between the Village Square Shopping Center to Westview Drive and the upgrade of a signal at Village Square Shopping Center. Tonight, we're introducing this. We're gonna have a public hearing and we're gonna take a vote.
One thing I'll just, it's the typical ODOT stuff we have to pass. One thing with the plans, they will be bid, the signal will be bid in 2 parts. You know, the typical ODOT, just mundane mast arms. And everything, Chief was talking about the nice, pretty mast down on Oregon. If we want that, we will have to pay the difference between the standard ODOT and the upgraded signal. And there's a second part of that.
Who's this signal going to be?
The Wendy's signal. It's a replacement. Yeah, they use Village Square Shopping Center. No one knows what that is, but everyone knows what Wendy's is.
Basically, they're gonna bid their basic standard.
What are you recommending?
Controller's my biggest thing. I gotta make sure that. If you stray from what you have normally, then you have.
So yeah, it goes back to the same thing. If we can prove we have 51% of controllers of one type, they will mandatorily make that the bid type. If we don't, we could alternate bid that one again and pay the difference in the upgrade of the controller. So again, more money on our part.
Ordinarily, I
Good. Nice.
So,
So that'll be no cost to us.
So just out of curiosity with that, because having not seen any drawings, there was question with that interchange and the sign, that massive sign there at the Village Square shopping. plaza.
Multi-tenant sign?
Yeah, is that staying there?
No, we'll be, yeah, it'll stay there. That
Okay.
multi-tenant
So
sign. will
there's
stay.
no issue with. Okay. Okay, just curious for the intersection itself. Yeah.
The only other right away issues is the sign at Route 62 Barbecue, and Jack's already had a great conversation with them, and they'll move it at their cost prior to the project kicking off. And it's going to be curb and gutter too. That's a huge piece of this because we know the erosion is a pain in the butt.
That's great news.
Yeah.
And
think it's
McDonald's
huge.
sidewalk.
nope.
What do you think is? are they
Oh, at
gonna-
one time I thought that was gonna,
We
we were gonna. do
we
that.
asked,
That was about 2 months of back and forth with
Okay.
we
McDonald's.
asked ODOT to include that, and they said, nope.
But I thought at one point we were gonna do it.
Oh, absolutely. What? Oh, did they? Want to confirm.
Again,
Nice if they did.
it's not
Yeah,
four
would be.
pages, and I was looking at lights.
If you're putting curbs in, why wouldn't you
Put
put
sidewalk.
a sidewalk?
With, it's they'd have to get the easements and they don't want to mess around with that. That's
It's there, wonderful, but I. Yes.
there's no right of way it takes or anything over there. I
You have
doubt
to
it.
do ADA compliant, right?
Yeah,
That's not the easiest grade
no,
either.
that grade's pretty
Yeah, that's-
steep for a sidewalk.
Is there any chance of working the other side, the other red light in with that, or are they still talking about coming through the shopping center? For the Pulte stops.
Is ODOT?
No. We were waiting for ODOT got down with theirs, so we could talk to Pulte.
Correct.
We know if they've had their discussions or continuing.
I don't know that. Yeah, sorry, I didn't know what you're asking. No, I don't know if they have or have not. Because they're gonna price out, I think what they're gonna do is price out the cost of the signal and then the cost that Altera is gonna charge them and.
And the controller
Right.
It'll be cheaper probably going through Altera.
Cheaper to go.
and the
to
proper
Altera.
controller.
So you are saying Altera is possibly back in investigating this? Because I thought that was off the table.
No, I think it's still a possibility.
Okay.
Now that Pulte And ODOT has the plans ready. I think now Pulte is better equipped to go have that conversation.
Having read through the 62 Oregon report and seeing that the distance requirement is like 1,300 feet, would
Quarter mile.
ODOT even allow a signal that close? Do they have the authority to say yes or no that it
I
can
think
go
they
there?
have the authority to say yes or no because it's in the village,
Yeah.
In the city.
in the city.
Yeah.
So I don't believe so.
I just didn't even think about that until I read that requirement in that 62 report that if that was there, something needs to go there, but
Okay, so it's been introduced. We're gonna open the public hearing. We're gonna listen to anybody. Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. We now entertain a motion.
I so move.
Marvin has moved. Is there a second?
so moved.
Ben has seconded. Discussion, any further discussion? Hearing none. Teresa, you want to call the roll?
Mayor Dutcher,
Yes.
Sharon Hendren,
Yes.
Carol Van Deest,
Yes.
Doug Lehner,
Yes.
Marvin Block,
Yes.
Ben Lee,
Yes.
Cheryl Robertson.
Yes.
It is agreed to. Resolution 2021-39 is next. A resolution authorizing the village manager to enter into an agreement with Etch Limited for services related to the creation of a trip planning and trip optimization system.
No money being spent by the village. And,
We love that.
so this is the $250,000 technology proposal that we wish to award to Etch. Etch was the only proposal we received, but I heard word through the industry that, anyway, so we would ask for approval. We will then start getting the contract ready and start creating technology as a village, which I think is pretty darn cool. And we still are waiting on Senator Brown's appropriation. I checked this afternoon. The Budget Appropriations Committee hasn't scheduled a markup yet for it. I was hoping after the Labor Day they would, but I should have known better.
They move at their own pace.
And, ready to go. It's pretty exciting. I can answer any questions.
Anyhow, questions for Jim first. Hearing none, it's been introduced. We're gonna open a public hearing. Hearing no comments from the public, we will close the public hearing. And I would entertain a motion to
I have
approve.
a comment.
I'm gonna get to that after
No.
we,
Is that how you do it?
Yeah.
After,
after the motion.
out of it too.
Yeah,
You're not gonna like my comment, but I can't.
that's
wait
all
to
right.
make it.
Need a motion?
I need a motion.
So moved.
Doug has moved it. Is there a second?
Second.
Marvin is seconded.
I just want to hear
Now we're
Carol's
gonna have
comment now.
discussion. Carol,
I love this comment. They are a local company from Columbus that is woman-owned.
Where's that?
It's under the summary.
Why
of
wouldn't Chip
third-
like that? Why
No,
wouldn't Chip
not
like
Chip
that?
would be fine. Some people might not like it, but I
I
just
like
wanted
it.
to make the comment.
I noticed
I
that.
think it's kinda cool.
I noticed that when I read through this original.
Black female.
Oh, dear.
I don't
Nothing
even,
wrong with women owning stuff. They all tell us what to do.
I just think it's a cool comment. I
It
like
is
that.
cool. I'm cool with them. We're doing this. Anyhow, any further discussion or questions?
I like to keep things
Hearing none,
a little
we're gonna
crazy.
move to a vote. Teresa, you want to call the roll?
Yes. Sharon Hendren.
Yes.
Carol Van Deest,
Yes.
Doug Lehner,
Yes.
Marvin Block,
Yes.
Ben Lee,
yes.
Cheryl Robertson.
Yes.
Mayor Dutcher.
Yes.
Can I say something just real quick? I think it's pretty cool that you guys are supporting this whole thing. If you think about a community creating a technology and a council buying off on it and supporting it the way you have, not many small communities such as ourselves are gonna be that forward thinking, and I appreciate your 7 individual support on this.
Got it.
Thank you.
We like being on the cutting edge.
Oh, plus it was free, I guess.
Yeah,
that-
that helps.
Anyhow, the resolution is agreed to. Next up is ordinance 38-2021. And tonight we are just going to introduce this thing. And Jim, do you want to? This is a variety of things that
Cornucopia, maybe.
Dana has put all together. And we'll
Yeah.
have further discussion at the next meeting. too.
It's,
Just introduced tonight.
it is taking some conversations we had about our ARPA funds and allocating it for the reasons we've already discussed. And it actually will probably change for the mobility hub, that 8,857 will actually probably go to 35,000 because of grant writing. Well, the concept above 35.
Oh, okay.
This is an additional 35. You guys had appropriated 35,000 where it says 8,857.
Mhm.
So I plan on probably using a lot of that for this current Build Back Better Regional Challenge application. So that number is going to go up.
Okay.
Unless you all
No.
say no. But
This is less.
that's why I just patted you on the back there. And then,
I mean, it's a $75 million grant.
right.
We can't be too cheap.
That ARPA, the ARPA portion here is still, I mean, less, even with the 35, it's right about half of what the first tranche is anyway. So there's
First
still.
tranche, and we'll get the second in January
May.
We're good.
or May.
It can't be any closer than 12 months from the first tranche.
Anywho, so it's been introduced and we'll see it again next time. And with that, we've concluded the legislative portion. And other business. We have to set the date for trick or treat.
ORC recommends Thursday, the 28th,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Yes. Be it.
What day is that?
Thursday.
It's Thursday.
Thursday, the 28th.
Thursday, the 28th. which is
September. September.
October.
What time would you prefer?
What time did we do it last time?
5:30 to 7.
That sounds good to me.
That early?
We did it that early.
Is it? We did it that early?
Sometimes you've done 5 to 6:30. I don't know.
Sometimes
They don't quit until
I
9.
think 5 to 7 is, or 5:30 to
7.
7 is good.
Do whatever you want.
It's dark by then.
5:30 to 7 is good.
Yeah.
Is it eight?
Because they usually stop about 6:30, it seems like.
It slows down.
It slows down.
Somebody want to make a motion?
Make a motion, we set October 28th, Thursday. Halloween,
from 5:30 to 7.
5:30 to 7.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion, any further discussion? Hearing none.
October 28th.
You want to call the roll, Teresa?
Sure. Is everybody in favor?
Yes.
Okay, that took care of that. Okay, next we have an executive session. That
Mayor?
we're gonna move into to discuss.
I just got a couple things for other business, if that's
Okay,
okay. Just
you
real
can.
quick.
Other business. Yeah.
Couple things. I know River Roundup is this Saturday in the county. I know we're not technically city yet, but we will be participating hopefully next year. I plan on trying to coordinate picking up trash somewhere in the village, maybe along the 62 corridor by Raccoon, the Raccoon Creek Estates and stuff. We usually get a lot of trash and stuff built up out there. She thought I was going to reach out just as a means of security, if there's any signage or anything like that. If we're picking up close to a thoroughfare, but if anybody else wants to join me in picking up trash in some way, shape or form around the village, just reach out. I plan on doing that this Saturday, just as our own little thing.
What time you gonna do it then?
I'm not 100% sure yet. Probably trying to get out there, maybe meet at the square around 9 and then,
Let me know. I'll bring you some water.
okay, that'll work. I'll
Um,
take it.
Ben, do you have a bright colored vest? to
I
wear?
do. Yes, I appreciate
If
that.
not, we do.
And then you have gloves and trash bags and stuff.
Yeah, we still have gloves and trash from,
The 4th of July. yeah,
July.
That's true.
I have done River Roundup in the past, and it's a good project. There's lots of people who show up.
They came out a couple years ago and went along the Raccoon Creek and found a bunch of stuff down there, which is great. Right.
Yeah.
But I'll go out there and do it. If anybody wants to join, feel free to reach out. Let me know.
And if you, once you collect or whoever, and you can leave it there and we'll send out a service truck to get it.
That'd be great. But I'll send some more details on that. I finalize the time, but like I said, anybody else wants to join it, let me know. Wanted to just double check. We passed the resolution 2020-15 last year, putting the village under a state of emergency still. Section 4 states that it will remain in effect until the emergency no longer exists, such time to be determined by the village manager. At this point, I understand we haven't rescinded that, and the village is technically still under a state of emergency per that resolution. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, and we don't have any desire at this point to pull back.
No, I wish probably we could, but I mean, as things are progressing, you never know what we'd have to implement. And the only thing it really gave us is we can drink on the patio.
Fair.
Or on the sidewalk is really what it ultimately did for us, but you know, it doesn't hurt keeping it on the books just in case something goes haywire.
Just in case.
I just wanted to put that out there just so we know that that piece is still out there in effect. And the last thing I just wanted to bring up is the Western Licking County Accord. And just asking just a general question with the parties that were involved in that Western Licking County Accord agreement. Do you remember, Jim, off the top of your head, who's in that?
Us, City of New Albany and Jersey Township.
Have we been asked or has anybody reached out from any of the other two parties that may be developing in the study area outlined in the Western Licking County Accord about their intent and or what they are doing?
No.
Okay. Is
The
it-
only conversation I've had in that area is this massive land grab that's currently going on. But out of that meeting, I got no details other than it was going on. So I can't contribute that to anything.
They said they couldn't
in the
tell us
report. Right.
till such time that they're allowed to tell us.
So no, to answer your question, absolutely not.
Okay.
We're not gonna need our water and sewage.
I just would ask the enforceability of that with the parties that are involved, that there's all this development going on in that corridor. And the point from at least my understanding, and Carol, I know you were pretty instrumental too, was really to facilitate the communication, right? Between all of the entities.
Yeah, and New Albany has two other accords, and I think they meet regularly. The Rocky Fork, and then I can't remember the other one.
Blacklick, I think.
Hmm?
Is it Blacklick?
Yes, the Blacklick.
Blacklick Accord.
I think they meet. It looks like, I mean, I've looked online before and you can see minutes and stuff. Now, I haven't looked for a while, but they were, you know. meeting.
I don't know if there's a mechanism to reach out. I think there's a temporary board there, Jim. I don't want to put any more on your plate if we need to reassign somebody to that to promote the meeting of it and to facilitate that communication. I know there's a lot of questions going on about what's happening. And with this accord in place, I think it gives us that mechanism to ask for that communication.
Jim Ensley from Jersey.
Right.
Township was very instrumental with that.
Right.
If he was still with us, I think he would be leading the charge.
I agree with you 100%.
I think the relationships eroded somewhat between the township and the city of New Albany. I'll contact Jennifer tomorrow. See what's going on.
Well, you can tell her that our council. you know, I don't
Wiring
know.
lines, one and a.
Two of us are for sure.
Oh, I'd like to know.
What's
Yeah,
going on?
Sure.
We passed the document, it's supposed to be a foundational document, supposed to facilitate the communication. Yet there's been
Nothing.
questions from us after the fact. So where's the two-way street?
I'll reach out to Jennifer.
Okay. Anybody else?
You're done. That's good.
We're gonna move to executive session to consider employment of a public employee. And I would ask Jim to join us,
Oh, okay.
and I think that's all we need. And we will return only to,
I got a little trigger happy.
we'll return only for adjournment. There'll be no
No
further
action.
business. But
Where are we going?
We're gonna stay here. And we're gonna ask folks to leave.
Okay, hold on. I need a motion stating the reason. I know you asked for one.
What's that?
Did you make the motion to enter? Is that your motion?
Yes, that's my motion.
And then was there a second?
As stated here in the script.
I'll second.
Okay. And we need to do a roll call vote.
Okay. Aye.
Mayor Dutcher,
Aye.
Sharon Hendren,
Yes.
Carol Van Dies, Doug Lanner,
Yes.
Robin Block,
Yes.
Ben Lee,
Yes.
Carol Robertson.
Yes.
Everybody.
Take a few minutes.
Yeah, just have a little bathroom break. Or at least stand up.
Oh. So.
I love that shirt. I love that shirt. It's so cute. It's totally something I would pick out.
I think you got something to contribute.
How do I?